7 present. There is a quorum. Mr. Williams will be here soon.
Here he comes.
Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Okay. Get through there. Let's start with good news.
Good evening, President Bolin, Board of Education. We have one item of good news this evening to share. The K's Pantry would like to thank the folks that have provided donations to the K's Pantry. Those partners that have donated include Matson School District 162, Riverside Brookfield High School, Thornton High School District 205, their athletic department, and the Fun Club of Aroma Park. All those folks have recently donated to our K's Pantry, and we'd like to thank them for their donations. That is our good news for this evening.
Thank you very much. We're going to move the MGT presentation down in the agenda, and so we'll go right into your instruction report.
Thank you, and good evening again. Our instructional programs update this evening is relatively brief, and with that, I would like to begin with approvals. This evening, I am presenting 3 opportunities to seek your approval. The first is to update our graduation requirements. I would like to begin by thanking Karen Grill and Dr. Brass from the high school. Our collaboration together has identified that the previous graduation requirements that were presented, I believe, back in December, indicated that the incoming freshman class would have a requirement of 2 years of a world language. I have accepted the ownership and responsibility of misreading the ISB outline for us, which doesn't say that it is applicable for the class of 2030, but for the class of 2032. So I am seeking your approval to shift back the requirement as it previously was, to reinstate that and remove the requirement for 2 years of a world language for our incoming class of 2030. The second approval this evening is for our partnership with One Goal. We currently work with One Goal and our high school and junior high counselors. We'd like to expand the partnership with One Goal to include a 10th grade classroom model, which would be an elective credit option, be elective credit for our 10th grade students that during their CBEO time in the upcoming school year, they will learn about all of their post-secondary career aspirations that would be applicable for college, careers, trades, and other opportunities that they can take advantage of after high school. Some specific measurement for this partnership would be the increase of our students that are in 10th grade and their on-track status to graduate. And once we have our benchmark data this spring, we would identify that specific goal. Increasing our partnership with KACC, the Career Center, KCC, the Kankakee Community College, and Olivet Nazarene. Additionally, over a 3-year period, we'd like to also see an increase of our seniors, our 12th grade students, with that post-secondary plan. And so we'd like that also to be a measurable goal, as well as the students completing that FAFSA, because that is an everlasting effort led by Dr. Brass, the assistant principals, and Ms. McIntosh Daniels. And the final measurement for this partnership includes the sense of belonging, which is part of our 5 essentials as well as our panorama survey. So it's an increase of that as identified by our students. And finally, the third partnership we're seeking your approval for this evening is with Educational Epiphany. This organization will work specifically with Kankakee Junior High School and King Middle Grade School for the 26-27 school year. The partnership will be focused in 4 specific areas, including looking at performance-based objectives, academic language, instructional planning, and writing and math integration. Those align with our academic priorities and will be measured by an increase in our STAR growth, so that academic data from fall to spring, as well as the link to our academic priorities for the high yield instructional practices with the percentage of classrooms demonstrating those as partnered with Educational Epiphany, as well as the alignment with our teaching standards, learning objectives, and student tasks. So those are the 3 areas we're seeking your approval for this evening.
Great, thank you.
I also am very blessed to have the NAACP Youth Council, and I'd like to invite them up at this time. They have a presentation tonight that they'll be sharing with you about the libraries, a community project that they have embraced here within Kankakee.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Emery Hamilton. I am the president of the Kankakee County NAACP Youth Branch. And tonight we've come to
I'm Danielle Thomas, the vice president.
I'm Milani Allen. I'm Ayana Lafee.
I'm Malia Love, and I'm the treasurer. I'm Erin Wills, and I'm the assistant secretary.
I'm McKinley Hawkins. I am Janique Barlow.
So tonight we've come to present to you. We've come to present to you about what we do and why we want to put youth libraries outside of the schools. What is the NAACP Youth Council? The NAACP Youth Council is a dedicated group to empowering youth through activism and leadership education. The NAACP Youth Council focuses on empowering young people through meaningful activism and leadership development, such as organizing events for the community and
I will talk about why the Youth Council is important. First, we develop leadership skills, we make a difference, and we network with our peers. The Youth Council allows us to make a difference, and it allows us to engage with other kids our age who is also a part of youth councils in other cities, and it allows us to have great social skills, and it allows us to just speak up and use our voices. The Bill Grant and what it is. The NAACP Bill Grant, often called the Building Community Voice Fund or Community Bill Grant, is a national funding program that supports local NAACP branches, youth councils, and units that want to create projects that improve their communities. We applied for this grant, which we were granted $25,000.
All right.
Wow.
Nice.
the goal of the grant is to help local leaders move ideas into action by providing money and launching support programs that address real community issues. These projects often focus on areas such as educational literacy, which is a big problem that we have in this community, health and wellness, economic opportunity, which we want to work on as well, civic engagement, and community development. The grant is designed so local communities decide what their biggest needs are, then create programs to respond to those needs.
What the grant funds. The grant can be used to support projects like literacy programs, youth leadership, neighborhood improvement projects, health awareness events, and civic engagement activities. For example, a youth council might use the funding to install little libraries, host community book drives, and run youth leadership workshops, and organize community literacy events. We are proud to announce that we were awarded the grant to support our community by installing the little libraries. Our solution: the small neighborhood book sharing boxes, take a book, leave a book, and free, accessible to everyone. Benefits: encourages reading outside school, providing books for families without home libraries, and builds strong neighborhoods through shared learning, empowers youth leadership.
Why little libraries? Community literacy initiatives can help support student success. Many students need more opportunities to read outside of the classroom, including access to books at home, reading opportunities in neighborhoods, community encouragement for literacy. These are the little libraries that we put together for the community.
Please, can we put some our litter outside our schools?
Yes. We need a motion.
Our proposal. We propose installing little free libraries at selected schools located near the front entrance along a parent pickup area in a visible outdoor space accessible to families. The libraries would allow families to take a book or leave a book at any time, significantly raising the literacy rate. Youth Council responsibilities. The NAACP Youth Council will build and decorate the library, organize book drives to stock books, maintain and restock the library, monitor and support the location. Each month,
Each month, the NAACP Youth Council will be hosting a Family Literacy Night. On March 25th, we had our first Family Literacy Night. Read, speak, and rise. My voice is a trumpet.
So we have 3 upcoming events. On May 15th, we have our bingo night. Our fundraiser starts April 27th. That's when our tickets go on sale. And you can see a member or pay at the door. And then April 21st is our environmental justice cleanup day where we will be cleaning up the community.
We want to give a special thanks to Mr. Courtney Baines,
Mr. Will Crawford,
Mr. David Brooks,
and Mrs. Crossley.
for allowing us to build the houses at Steuben and helping us put the post on them. Thanks for viewing.
Before we go on, it's not on the agenda, but I'm assuming there's somebody who wants to make a motion to permit the
Just one, Joseph.
libraries to go where they are?
Yes,
Okay, Ms. Verrett, are you
So
making the motion?
yes. So
Is there a
moved.
second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Gathing. I don't think we need a voice, or a roll call, let's do, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Can I?
No, we don't.
And the last information part of the instructional programs presentation this evening is a reminder about summer school. And we do still have a few opportunities to sign students up, both for the K-5 as well as the 6-12 summer learning program. So the QR code can be used to register your child. I know it says the deadline is the 13th. We did extend it. We are very much encouraging parents and families to register children for this excellent summer opportunity that will begin on June 15th. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, next we move on to student services and diverse programs. Dr. Gonzalez. Oh, okay. And Dr. Brass.
I have a co-pilot this evening. Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Good evening, Board Superintendent Lance, colegas and community.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This evening, we have an update on our Kankakee High School Alternative Learning Pathway update. So a couple of months ago, Dr. Lance issued us a challenge and asked us to reimagine a new way, a different way, a better way for our young people at Avis. I will share a little secret with you about me. I am a former high school dropout. I grew up in a tough neighborhood on the south side of Chicago, and I attended a tough high school. So when Dr. Lance tasked us with this project, I was up to the challenge, and I said, let's bring our young people home. As I prepared for this evening's presentation, I think the fundamental question before all of us is to ask ourselves, do we believe that our young people have the moral capacity to learn and grow from their mistakes? And so I will ask that question again. Do we believe that our young people have the moral capacity to learn and grow from their mistakes? For me, that answer is yes. Before we dive into how we propose to do this for our students, I want to start off with a note of gratitude. I want to thank the people at Avis. I want to express a note of gratitude because this staff, in many ways, has made Avis a home away from home. And so we want to thank everyone who has provided this for our young people at Avis. I also want to thank the planning group who collaborated on drafting and providing feedback on our new blueprint. So I want to thank Kim Starkey. I want to thank Dr. Clody, Dr. Hall, Dr. Brass, Mr. Worden, and Ms. Wilkie. And lastly, a special thank you to our friends and colleagues at Crete-Boney School District for inviting us to spend time visiting and learning about their alternative learning option at their high school. So here we go, and let's picture this. So Kankakee High School, one school with many paths. So we want to welcome everyone to our new STRIVE alternative learning option at the high school. STRIVE stands for Success Through Responsibility, Independence, Vision, and Engagement. So I will say that one more time. Success through responsibility, independence, vision, and engagement. Our planning group was very intentional with selecting this name because we believe that our students can rise to the occasion. The other thing that we want to point out here, a good school organizes its talent and its people, its resources into 3 tiers. So think of the first tier as universal, something that all students receive. Then you get up to the second tier, it's targeted, it's a little bit more small group. When you get through to the third tier, it's a more individualized and intensive support for students. Our STRIVE learning pathway is situated on the 3rd tier. And so this is an intervention that our high school is offering our students. It is not a separate program, it is not a separate school. It is an intervention that's part of a holistic support system that our high school offers our students. There are 4 pillars of STRIVE. So when we talk about pillars, that means they won't change. These will be our foundational pieces for years to come. So these are the 4 things: fluidity and flexibility. So we want placement to be a flexible intervention and not a permanent destination. We want to focus on explicit skill building. So we want to move from teaching and expecting compliance from our students and focusing on teaching emotional regulation. Just because we switch the location doesn't mean that our students will just instantly know how to do this. So we want to focus on explicitly teaching our young people that emotional self-regulation during their time at Strive. This one is also very important to us all, a shared identity. Students remain Kankakee K's first and foremost. Academic re-engagement. This is an individualized support to restore the connection to learning. So these are the 4 pillars of Strive. Our philosophy, our mission, and our goal. So our philosophy of practice, we believe that all behavior is communication. All behavior is communication. And our practice is targeted, therapeutic, and a time-bound intervention. It is not punitive isolation. So that is our philosophy of practice. Our mission is to provide a dignified and highly structured environment where our students can rebuild their academic stamina and social-emotional regulation. Our goal is to successfully and safely transition our students into the broader Kankakee school community. So that is our philosophy, our mission, and our goal. I will pass it over to my co-pilot, Dr. Brass.
So, Dr. Gonzalez, thank you. The overview of the program, it is designed to support 30 students from grades 7 to 12. Within that, we have 3 classrooms offering a smaller classroom setting for our students where they'll be utilizing the program curriculum Apex to do the online for their core and their required electives. Small group and individualized SEL support will also take place to support the students as well. As Dr. Gonzalez indicated, we'll also have an individualized re-engagement plan for each individual student as they transition back to the high school. The team that's comprised of Strive, the KHS administration, an ELA teacher, a math teacher, special education teacher, 2 paraprofessionals, 1 social worker, and 1 grant-funded full-time mental health professional. So I want to thank Ms. Cheryl Lewis for helping us secure the funds for that full-time mental health professional through grants. So please, I want to thank her for that. Thank you. Thank you. As well as we'll have a security officer as well. The eligibility and equity guardrails. Students who are referred to the Strive program will be based upon a multidisciplinary team that will review the data from the students as it relates to their behavior interventions that have been put forth for that particular student. In addition to that, students who have an IEP, we will also work with them to support them in their needs, as well as one of the most important things is our parents and our guardian engagement. We want them to be part of the process as well. In addition to that, we want to make sure we have a re-engagement plan that has a rubric and a plan and is inclusive of progress review checkpoints for that particular student. Some of our next steps, safety plan. We've been looking over the space at the high school, working alongside our current AVIS staff, and looking at what we can make sure that we put in place to support our students, as well as transportation. We're working alongside the transportation department, knowing that our program is going to run from 8 in the morning to 1 p.m., and how we're going to support students as they enter and exit our building. I mentioned earlier about utilizing Apex for the curriculum, so that'll be part of our academic plan, and those additional supports we want to make sure we put in place. And then our SEL plan, realizing that we have a social worker and this grant-funded person, how do we support our students emotionally as they move throughout the program? And the last piece is communication. How do we communicate with our stakeholders, students who are involved, and our parents and such?
Thank you, Dr. Brass. So what Dr. Brass just outlined here are our next steps. So what we just presented on, this is the vision, this is our recommendation. Now we got to come back to the table and start building out these different pieces. And so I'm calling on all of our community. This is a village effort. So as Dr. Brass just pointed out, We need support from our partners on the safety team. We will need support from our friends in teaching and learning and developing an academic plan that works for our students. Kim Starkey, I have asked her to be the project manager for this next phase of the project. And so Dr. Brass already got ahead of us. He already initiated conversations with our security team and our buildings team. And so team, be on the lookout so that we can build out these individual pieces to make sure that the village is rallying around our students in the Strive Learning Pathway. So let's strive together for Strive. Any questions? Preguntas?
Any questions from the board?
I have a couple of questions. So you said that the capacity would be 30 students. What would you do with more than 30 students?
What was the question? Say the question again, I'm sorry.
They said the capacity would be 30 students. What would you do if you have more than 30 students?
It comes down to the criteria that we have set. And so if you recall the pyramid at the beginning of the presentation, we need to do a solid job at our tier 1 and our tier 2. And so we should be able to keep it at that cap if we are doing a solid job at tier 2 and tier 3. Dr. Brass and his team does a wonderful job of that. A shift from the previous model at Avis, Dr. Brass spoke to some of those equity guardrails. So we want to make sure that we have some clear criteria on who stands to benefit the most. Ms. Verrett, one of our pillars spoke to the flexibility. So a student can join the Strive opportunity, could be for 2 weeks. Another student might join it for a semester. And so the multidisciplinary team that Dr. Brass alluded to, this is the team that will review this information to see who will be joining the program and for how long. So I don't foresee that we'll have a challenge with that. But if we do, we just come back to the table and we problem solve and figure out a solution.
Yeah, I'll also add to that, Dr. Gonzalez, your answer's spot on. We still have the opportunity to refer students to RAC. So we still have that as an opportunity. But as Dr. Gonzalez said, the intent is really to try to keep our students home. And so if we need to utilize RAC, then we'll do so. But the hope is that we don't have to.
I just want to say that I really appreciate this information. Avis is one of my adopted schools, and so I know that Avis needs some restructuring, and this is what they need. It should be a pathway. It should not be a holding space for students for years and years without programming, without structure. So I can really, really appreciate this. My prayer is that we will be exactly who we are in practice as we are in paper. So we really need to do that for our students. So thank you for looking into this and making this a priority. I appreciate that.
Any other questions?
I do. Just looking at the size of the team, just for clarification, I saw 1 teacher, 2 paraprofessionals. You did say there's 3 classrooms. So is that 1 and 2 per classroom, or is it dependent on your class size and our students at the time?
I think it will depend on the class size and on our students.
Okay. Do we have a goal number as to how many we want to keep student-teacher ratio, or do we not know that just yet?
It was 10 per classroom.
10 per room. Okay, sorry, I might have missed that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? And your goal to have this in place is?
We're ready to launch in August.
Okay.
In August. So we
Thank
will
you.
be formulating those planning teams. Ms. Verrett, to your point, we also want to include folks who have had experience with previous iterations, so they can point out what some of the stumbling blocks might have been in the past. And so we invite multiple voices. I am serious when I say we need the village to rally around this project. It is not just the Kankakee High School administration or the Student Support Services and Diverse Programs team.
I got a question real quick.
Mr. Williams?
I figured you probably already know who you're going to be going after for next year for the class. Is there any information you're going to be giving them ahead of time, and especially the parents, to get them comfortable with what's going on? give them as much information as you can about the program. Is there any parent training, or is it just for the students?
So if we look at our next steps, the communication plan, I probably should have called that an engagement plan. I am the one that is directly mapping out what that communication plan will be. And so who do we need to engage? What do we need to engage them around? And who is the best ambassador for that? Dr. Brass and I met on Friday, and we already started talking about how his team can go over to the Avis site and start engaging with our young people. And we want to know what they think about this plan. So yes, in short, yes. At what point will we be communicating with our parents? So we're going to set timelines for all of that. So that is one of the pieces that we need to build out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Both
Thank
of
you.
We're ready for finance.
Good evening. I always have to follow some tremendous presentations. It kind of sets the bar high. Hope I could rise to that. Tonight, a lot of times I try to kind of move quickly, and I am going to try to keep it moving, but I do have some things that I need to discuss this evening, and so we'll get right to it. To start with, we have our financial report, and if you looked, you saw it looked a little different than it has in the past. We have a software system that I've been working on, and it puts together some really nice projections and things, and this was a package that just seemed to really kind of put everything very succinctly in just a few slides. So I wanted to show it to you, and then if anybody really wants to keep our old one, we can, but I would be very crushed, I'm just telling you. So we're going to start here. The first slide is talking about our year-to-date revenues. That's from July 1 to the end of March. And this shows 3 years of data for each level of revenue. So this year, last year, and the year before. So our local revenue, at this point, we've received most of what's budgeted. And you can see what we had received by this point in prior years. For our state revenue, we will continue receiving that throughout the end of the year. We have about 72%, and that's good because that's about where we are. And then our federal revenue, surprise, surprise, came in over budget. So we're still getting federal revenues. And we got some of the carryovers and things we did not anticipate getting, and so that helps us quite a bit because we did get more, but you can see it has gone down compared to where we were this time last year. The second one is the same thing on the expense side. And so it breaks it down into the three main categories. There are a few other odds and ends, but they're actually much smaller. This is probably about 95% of your budget here. And that is your salaries and benefits for each of the 3 years, year to date up through March 31st. Our purchase services are supplies and materials. And so you can see under purchase services and supplies and materials, those are things we have a little more control over, and our staff and our administration have been doing a great job of trying to keep that down. We will see some bump next month because April 15th was the last day they could submit orders, and a lot of people waited till the last minute. So there will be a little bit of a bump, but we're coming in under budget on those items, and I expect that will be where we end up. The difference here is this is just for the month of March, okay? So it's the March of the past three, this year, the year before, and the year before that. So you can kind of get an apples to orange comparison of apples to apples comparison of where we have been each year. And so on our revenues, you can see, obviously, most of our local revenues in by now. Our state revenue comes in throughout the year, and our federal revenue we tend to get more of it toward the end of the year, actually, because we have to finish out our claims. Expenses, again, this is just the monthly budget, and you're looking at what percentage of the budget, so that just under 10% makes a lot of sense. That's where it ought to be. And then the fund balance overview, and you can see the prior year goes all the way through the end, but we have consistently, for the most part, stayed ahead this year where we were last year. So that means this year's budget may look better than we thought it might at the beginning, okay? Next year's budget, we'll talk about that in a little while, but right now, this is where we're looking. I have been working on the budget, and it was my intention to bring that in May, and I'm going to try. However, we had a little issue on March 10th that kind of messed up the works and added a whole lot of what-ifs to our budget, and so I have to straighten some numbers out, and before I bring you the budget, I need to make sure I have some pretty good idea of what those numbers are going to be. So I will do my best to get that for you, the preliminary budget in May. If not, it will be in June, but I will do my best for you. But we were ready to roll, and then go figure. So this is how we do things, I guess. So, any questions on the financial report?
Any questions? Okay.
The aforementioned March 10th. So we have talked about this in the last board meeting. I just wanted to give an update. And this, again, is just some high-level stuff. We're still not done. But we have to replace 10 of our 12 roofs. We have to replace portions of the other 2. So all of our roofs had damage. Almost all of them were destroyed. They are patched. They are holding. And they will hold for long enough for us to replace them, but they will have to be replaced. They can't wait any longer. We had taking out the school buses, our damaged vehicles, 28 of our 44 non-school bus vehicles were either totaled or severely damaged, okay? Actually, it's 14 and 14. 14 were completely totaled, 14 were severely damaged. We had a lot of windows broken. We had one skylight that actually made it through. I'm not sure how that happened, but the rest were all broken. Because of the roof problems, we had the floor, the gym floor in the high school and in Kennedy, both gym floors were damaged. The turf room has been waterlogged. We are not sure about the damage yet. We're still trying to figure out and getting people in there to figure that one out. The dance studio also was heavily damaged and will have to be replaced at the flooring. Ceilings, wiring, equipment, alarm systems, and at virtually all sites there were some issues. They're safe. We've got everything running, but we are going to have to replace a lot of things. Mechanical and HVAC equipment. We hadn't thought about it much, but then we had them come out to take a look, and there's several $1 million in mechanical equipment we're probably going to have to replace. We had a lot of damage in the high school auditorium. The roof leaked, and you can see our sound system, lighting system, acoustic tiles, carpet, equipment, probably even some of the seats are waterlogged, and we can get the water out, but we also have to make sure none of the other little pests that water bring got in there too. So the auditorium is going to need some love in this process. We had a lot of outdoor damage at the athletic fields. We discovered yesterday the big video board at the high school football field does not work at this point. So we are working on that. We're probably replacing the bleachers out there. So those are things that we're still looking at, still working on, and we are still assessing. The current damage total is $28,700,000 and climbing. I expect it will go up a couple more million before we're done. Insurance will cover a good chunk of that, if not most of it. The one issue we do have is that if a roof is more than 20 years old, it is covered at actual cash value, not at replacement value. And that means for some of our buildings where we had older roofs, they may not be fully covered. They may only be partially covered. So we will have to figure out what we're going to do with that. And we will figure it out. And we have ways to take care of that. But just to be very clear about that, most of the other damage should be fully covered. But that is the one piece that is a little different. And the roofs are approximately 21 million of this. So that's a big chunk. Okay. We don't know at this point if there will be any disaster funds, so to speak, available to us. We haven't even gotten to that. Can't even talk to anybody about that till we know what the insurance company is doing. Our insurance claim has been elevated to a high-value claim carrier. What that means is basically, insurance companies kind of like us. They pay out of pocket to a certain point, then it gets kicked up to their insurance company. Insurance companies have insurance companies, okay? So this, when it hits $3 million, our insurance company kicks that up to their insurance company, and they send out a whole team of adjusters who started last week and have been going through our buildings with a fine-tooth comb, and Mr. Draper can probably confirm, I'm pretty confident they're coming in with a lot of stuff we didn't even catch in the beginning. So they seem to know their stuff, and they're really looking. Once they have that all put together, I believe sometime shortly after that, they will start putting together the report. I am told we will start receiving some payout sometime by Memorial Day, and that will be for the initial cleanup and all of the mitigations and some of the front work we're doing now to get things ready to repair and rebuild. We have to determine next financial steps once we know what all is covered and what all the damage is. So I'm just trying to keep you posted on that. How long is this going to take? This isn't going to be done this year. It's going to be 2 or 3 years. Okay, it's going to take a while. I don't know, putting one roof on is a challenge some years, and we have to put on 10. So we're going to have to keep working at that and get that ready to go. We'll continue repairing and keeping things together until we can replace them. We're going to try to complete as much as possible in the first year. Our priority buildings right now are the high school, Aroma Park, Kennedy, and junior high school. Before I'm asked, Aroma Park is not a building we currently use, but we do have a tenant in it, and part of the roof came off in the tornado. We have to fix it. So it's got to be a priority because it doesn't have a roof right now in part of that building. So we're going to, that has to be a priority. It will not detract from any of the other priorities we have. Other buildings will continue to be repaired until they can be fixed. And once we have a final confirmation from insurance, we can establish a more firm timeline of when we'll get things done. I haven't even talked about vehicles yet. Okay, I'm going to get to vehicles in a minute. Any questions on this stuff so far?
Yes, like most of our homes, we have a deductible. Does the school district have a deductible?
We have a deductible. I have not been told yet whether it was a per site deductible or one deductible for the entire occurrence. It is not a large deductible.
Okay.
We are actually pretty well insured. I mean, we knew it, and this is why we're paying that almost $2 million a year in premiums so that we can have something like this happen and we are covered.
Okay.
Other questions?
Anything else?
Okay, a couple agenda items and then I'll get to the vehicles. We're just approving some Chromebooks for students. Every year we give new Chromebooks to freshmen. This is an annual thing. It's in the budget. Hoping you'll sign off so we can make the order before the prices go way up. Same thing, we have a rotation of staff laptop computers, so we're just putting that order in tonight as well. The last one is the piece that has to deal with the vehicles, and that is an agreement with Enterprise Fleet Management. So one of the things that became apparent when I moved into this position was we have a lot more vehicles than we need. And so we kind of held off doing something about that because we first had to make some decisions about a lot of other things that were probably higher priority. But now's a good time, since a lot of these vehicles have been totaled and damaged, to start making that decision and try to figure out how we're going to bring our fleet to the size it needs to be to meet all of our needs, but have it be small enough that we're not paying for a bunch of vehicles we don't need. So our fleet is we're basically calling our fleet 2 separate fleets. We have a student transportation fleet, which is our buses. Okay. I don't have information on buses yet. I'm still waiting for that report from the insurance. We have been making repairs to make sure we can keep our routes covered, but we are driving some damaged buses. They're safe, but we're driving some damaged buses right now while we're waiting for this report. Okay. All of our buses are parked outside. All of them got something, The rest of it I'm calling our special use fleet. That's our maintenance vehicles, driver education, security, our special programs, the grant purchase vehicles, things like that. Our maintenance vehicles were largely untouched. They get parked in the shop at night. All but one was in the shop. All but one was undamaged. So our maintenance vehicles came out of this looking pretty good. Of our other vehicles, we have some issues. For example, our 3 driver education cars were completely totaled. So they can't be used at all, and we don't want anybody using them. These things got beaten up bad. Okay? So, I'm going to talk about what we're going to do about this, and this is about that whole special use fleet. So currently, we have about 45 vehicles. I think it's 44 on my other slide, but this was what we were looking at, because I think we were adding one maintenance vehicle, so it became 45. You can see when they were purchased. Now, when it says 2016 plus, some of those are older than the people driving them. Okay? And we kind of chuckle about that, but that's not a good situation, and we know it isn't. We're spending a lot more money on those vehicles to keep them on the road than we ever would to replace them, and so we need to do something about that. We literally towed a van off last year that just stopped working one day, you know, and we had to call for somebody to pick him up because it didn't work anymore. So, we've got to do something about that. We want to keep our vehicles fairly new. So there's a lot of data on here, and I don't want that to freak anybody out, but I'm going to just go through like the first 3 lines of this, and I'm sorry I can't make it bigger. And this uses a 41 size. Don't worry about the difference between 41, 44, 45. This will all get firmed up at the end, but where it's highlighted, that says we have 41 vehicles, and over the last 10 years, we had an average of 4 replaced a year. That means some years we replaced 10 or 12, and other years we replaced none. So there's an average. Okay? We own them all. If we trade off the 4 vehicles each year, or purchase the 4 new vehicles, we're spending about $165,000 to buy them, which is true. And we're getting salvage value for the vehicles we trade off because they're all completely booked out. Okay? And there's high maintenance costs that go with it, and there's a high fuel cost that goes with that. So in the end, our average vehicle fleet cost for this fleet has been about $323,000 a year. Okay, some years more, some years less, but this is the average. What we propose to do is to transition to an open-ended lease for these special use vehicles. We already do a lease for our buses. It's actually a closed lease. We have a 5-year lease on our buses. One of the nice things about that is at the end, turn them in, you get new ones. Okay? You tend to pay a little bit less than trying to get your own whole fleet, and you also don't have all of the expenses that go along with that. So in this next line where it says year 1, that would be this year. They would propose, this may not be the number we have, but this is what would be proposed. We would trade off 12 of these vehicles, all of them pretty much totaled, okay? So we would still own 29. We would lease 12. The lease price is right there, about $98,000 for the year. And then we would get some value for the ones we'd trade off, which would be deducted from that lease. That brings down maintenance costs, brings down fuel costs because they're more efficient. Now we're looking at about $200,000 fleet cost. So we've saved about $126,000. I'm only going to do one more year here because you get the concept. The next year they're proposing 4. I don't think that works. We've got to kind of keep it a little more even, okay? But they would say 4, we would own 25, we would lease 16. The lease payment would go up to about $130,000, and we would get another $27,000-ish for trading those off or selling those. Again, maintenance and fuel come down some. It's about $221,000. All the way to the end of this, we stay significantly under our current cost. Now what happens is we go through the first 5 years. In that first 5 years, we replace the fleet. Then starting in year 6, we start replacing year 1. And it just keeps going like that. We get some of the value out of the vehicles, because it's like we own them. We get some of that value taken off the lease on the back end, and that keeps the lease payments down. So what makes us more affordable is we get more equity out of the vehicle than we're getting now. We're getting nothing now. We sold the van that stopped running for about $400 last year. Okay, so almost had to pay the guy to tow it off. So the point being, over the life of this particular model, it would be about an $894,000 savings over that 10 years. That's significant. Okay. Now, ours will look a little different because we're going to build this. First of all, we've got to get those total vehicles off of our fleet. And then we have to decide how many vehicles we need. So we're probably not doing 44. We might be doing a much lower number, which will bring that cost down some. Okay. So right now, in our immediate present, we would be replacing 5 vehicles, and The green ones in the green is the vehicles, there's 9 vehicles in there. There's 5 that we would replace. Basically the cars would get replaced. Those are our driver ed cars and our security vehicles. Because those are all totaled and we can't use them, okay? So, and then down below you see the kind of vehicles they're going to be replaced with, all brand new, all ready to roll. If we move forward with this, we'll probably have driver's ed cars, brand new driver's ed cars within another week and a half. Because all they have to do is get them. We're going to get the dual controls put in, decal, and they're ready to roll. Okay? So, our cost, our bottom line, right now for these 9 vehicles, in the first blue column, it's $5,100 roughly, is our upfront cost. That's all of the upfront costs you have buying a car. The second blue column is the annual lease cost for these vehicles. In the first white column is just the monthly lease cost. The last column is the maintenance agreement. By bringing in the maintenance agreement, we have a firm budget on what our maintenance cost is going to be. Last couple of years, we've kind of varied between about $78,000 to $130,000 in maintenance. This will keep us, once we get to the point where all the vehicles are on the maintenance plan, keep it at about $20,000 a year. Okay. So our total first year cost is about $77,500. And then our year 2 through 5 for this fleet of vehicles would be about $72,500. So this is a much better deal than what we're doing. So that third item on my agenda was just to approve that. If you approve that, we'll sign the paperwork and we'll get things rolling. I will bring back the subsequent plans before we move forward with more. Okay. So you're not giving me a blank check here. You're approving this and the partnership, and then we're moving forward. As we move forward, I'll keep you guys posted on what we're doing and make sure that you're ready and good to go.
Okay.
Questions?
Any questions?
Thank you for indulging my explanation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Neal.
And I'm done.
Okay, we go to People Services.
Good evening, Board President, Board members, Superintendent, colleagues, and community. We have quite a few items that we would like to touch on this evening. But first, let's just quickly talk about the New Beginnings Career Connection Job Fair. Due to the RIF, we moved forward to have a job fair whereby we had about 10 vendors, local vendors, to come and recruit our RIF employees. So our employees showed up, and hopefully by next week we'll know whether or not they have been employed. Background checks. I will be bringing forth to you background checks. We do background checks every 5 years right now on all employees. But we will be making a recommendation to do background checks each year. Bring that forward in very short order. The U.S. Department of State will be visiting our VIT teachers May 4th. So that says a lot about how important this program is for our visiting instructors or teachers. So they will be coming to check the pulse on the participants and the effectiveness of the programs. And that's not only in Kankakee, but throughout the state of Illinois. The last time I came forward to you, we had completed 115 investigations. Just nearly 1 month later, we're looking at 155 investigations. The last time we talked about FMLA, we had 70. To date, we have 83 employees who have taken advantage of FMLA. 15 are consecutive, 16 are intermittent, and we have closed 52. Workers' compensation. 3 employees are working with restrictions. 8 of them are out on workers' comp, 6 are receiving TTD, and 2 are not receiving any benefits. It's that time. Open enrollment. So effective May 13th, we will open enrollment again for our medical, dental, and vision benefits, and it will close May 24th. Now, if there are no changes to the current election, there's nothing to do. It will just roll over to the 26-27 academic year. And if you have changes, please make those changes. Exit survey. I thought you would like this, Ms. Barrett.
I will.
So we have asked 66 employees who have exited the organization to complete the survey. But to date, we've only had 12 individuals to complete this data. So the value here, employees were happy regarding the professional development growth opportunities, and some of them were also happy about the appreciation administration shows to them. Some of the concerns were student discipline, and some of them felt that they needed more support from administration. Connecting with People Services, we have completed our last school today, and on May 4th, we will be looking at transportation. And I just really want to thank all of the employees in the district as a whole for asking great questions around personnel, their personnel needs. And I also would like to thank the employees of People Services for the work that they have done to make all of this happen. And lastly, let's take a look at our vacancies. For the ensuing academic year, to date, we have no vacancies at Twain, 1 at King, 2 at the high school, 4 at Taft, 4 at Steuben, 4 at Montessori, 4 at the junior high, 8 at Kennedy, and 17 at Pragler, totaling 44 vacancies. But as of today, we have interviewed more than 25 teachers, and we're scheduled to interview an additional 20 by next week. We have also scheduled and interviewed for 2 assistant principal positions, and we will be seeing them at the end of the month. At the end of this week. They will be coming forth to the superintendent for her final approval. And lastly, we would like to recognize our ISB, those who excel special recognition, to Ms. Camille Andrews over the weekend. Yes, go ahead and give her a hand. Absolutely. Over the weekend, Dr. Morgan Harris represented Dr. Lance there in Bloomington in recognition of Ms. Andrews. And we want you to remember Hope Through the Years Gala. Our Employee of the Year Gala will be coming up, as you can see there, May 29th. Any questions?
Board members, any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I appreciate the exit interview information. However, I made this plea before, so I'm making it again. I really would like to know why people stay and why they leave. We have several people who have resigned that we have to approve tonight, and it's imperative to me that we know if we need to improve, if we're doing okay. I actually do extra information because it's really important to me, so I don't want you to think that it's something you just do and we just stick it in a file somewhere.
Absolutely.
No, I'm asking about it. I want to read it. It's important to me. So if you are sitting an exit interview, please take the time to fill it out. If you are not, ask someone to make sure they give it to you so you can fill it out, please.
I have a question about the background checks. What is the cost going to be for us to do them every year?
The cost is nominal because we're doing it through Bashu, so they just do a batch background checks.
Any other questions? Very good. Thank you, Dr. Anderson.
Thank you.
All right, we're going back to the MGT presentation. Okay. And we're have the benefit of Ms. Marcy Horner here for this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Before you start, this is a study that we have commissioned for the purposes of looking at what our enrollment is likely to be, not just next year, but in the future, what each of our buildings looks like in terms of the boundaries and what boundaries might be if we had a different format, or we may consider that. It's for our purposes in anticipating what's going to happen in the coming years. This is a very important study. So with that, take off.
Thank you. I appreciate the introduction. I'm Marcy Horner. I specialize in school planning, and I'm a project manager with MGT. I've been working for MGT for a few years. Prior to that, I actually was doing this very same thing in my school district, where my kids went to school and where I worked for over 10 years. So I have a passion for it. I'm also a little bit nerdy, so I'm going to try to be concise without boring you with too much data. You may hold me to it. I will do my best to read the room. I can talk about birth data for an hour, and I will not. I promise you, I will not do that.
Thank you very much.
Please, thank you. Just a very overview of what work that we do. We gather data, gather tabular data. We analyze development data. We research the demographic data in the area, and then we create a forecast. And that's what we were able to accomplish here. Here's our methodology. It's just right out here for you all to see. I think the key to this is that our methodology is localized. We use your current and 3 historical years of data. So we have 4 years of your student data. We apply 3 factors. Birth factors that are your local birth factors or birth rates that we get by zip code from the state. Mobility factors, which I'm going to explain, and it does come from the student data. And then a student yield factor, which we apply to residential development. Your area doesn't have any new large residential development, so we didn't have a student factor to apply to that, but I will share with you the other factors. It's kind of like creating a cake and adding all of the ingredients, and the outcome would be the student forecast. So I'll share a little bit about each of those factors with you before we get to the forecast. But first I want to just talk to you about what we do, which is we use GIS, we think spatially. So we take all of the information, the 4 years of student data, we geocode that. So if you're a GIS fanatic like we are, it's a process where we literally put dots on the map for every student that lives in your district or that is enrolled in your district. We look at the school boundary, the district boundary. You don't have attendance areas right now for individual schools, like you alluded to. Well, that is the goal, to look into that. We do break the district up into smaller study areas so that we can look at what is happening at a micro level. So your district is divided into 146 smaller study areas. Again, residential development, if there is any, and then spatial analysis. We don't show you the student dots in a public meeting, but this is a student density or a heat map of the student locations. So the yellow is where the more densely populated student population is, and then the blue is where where it's more sparsely populated. This is just a table showing the student data that we received from the district. So I worked closely with Mr. Harrison, who worked with the student information person or team to gather student data that shows, again, current year and 3 years. What I have here is it showing you on the left. I should have it shown to you broken down by grade level. And this is your enrollment data. So you can see that from the 2022 school year to the 2023 school year, there was a decline of 202 students. There was a decline the year after that, going into 2024 of 117 students, and a decline this year of 19 students. On the right, the chart on the right, or the table on the right, is showing those numbers by school, the enrollment by school. And so you can see the gains and losses in those schools and even in those cohorts. So again, this is just the raw data before it is geocoded. Once we geocode and start thinking spatially, I'm supplying you with this matrix, and let me explain to you how you read that. As you read across the row, you are seeing where the students are. So it's broken up by grade ranges, so K through 3. I'm going to skip preschool for now. If you read across the row and you see in the grade ranges K through 3, you can see that there are 1,225 students living within the school district boundaries. Of those, there are 182 that at the time that we pulled the student data, which was October 1st, there was 182 enrolled at Edison, 229 enrolled at Steuben, 316 at Taft, and then you can read the rest as you read across the rows where those students are enrolled. As you read down the columns, you see the enrollment of a school. So we'll start with, or just look at Steuben. You can see at the very bottom, you see that 231 students were enrolled there. 2 of them were coming from outside of the district, and then those 229 live within the district. If you go to the right and you look at the Montessori school, that's an easier, or it shows you more where those students, where those grade ranges were. There are 491 students at Montessori, 21 interdistrict, so 470 are resident students, and you can see those grade ranges that they're broken down into. Looking at a utilization and transfer analysis, we did work together to create capacities for the schools. And so the capacity that you see is right there in the, the third column. The resident students, those are the students enrolled at the school that are residents of the district. So Mark Twain, for example, Twain School had 189 residents in the district, 2 coming in from the interdistrict or outside of the district, 191 students enrolled there, and you can see that utilization, which is simply your enrollment divided by your capacity, is, you can see what that utilization is, 57.7% there at Twain. And you can see down that column to see the other utilizations. So that's, again, your enrollment versus your capacity. We don't have for Edison, we didn't do that at the time because when we started working this out, it was already closed. As part of the study, we did a capture rate analysis. I'm going to use capture rate in 2 different ways. In this capture rate analysis, we took the census block data, that is the ESRI estimated population of children ages 5 through 17, so school-age children. And then we looked at the resident students in the district, and you can see that what we say the capture rate, or maybe you've heard market share, that's essentially what this is. If you see down at the bottom, the K through 5 capture rate is 89%. So the population would be estimated to be 2,099 in grades K through 5, and the district has 1,865. So that's an 89% capture rate. As they age and go into middle school or go into the 6th through 8th grade, it drops a little bit at 86%, and then that 9th through 12th grade drops a little bit more at 84%. But you can see that your 12th grade has a much higher capture rate. Again, these are geographically slightly different because it's the district boundary versus a census block. So, and there's other difference would be that these are ages as of January through December 31st, whereas school enrollment is a different time frame. But it does show that overall the district has a capture rate of 87% of the population, and that's a good high number. I've seen much lower numbers, so that's some, I think, really good information for you to have as a district. So the next I'm going to talk about the forecast factors. The first factor is the birth rates. So you can see this table on the far left, you see the birth year, and then the second one is the kindergarten year. So we're looking at birth data 5 years prior to the birth year. So the line that says base year, that is our kindergarten students this year versus the children that were born 5 years previously. So that number, and we've combined the zip codes, so that number for this base year is 478. And you can see how that fluctuates. The top row with 575 births, down to the bottom row of 2024 birth year with 418 births. So you can see that the rate that is applied to the forecast to determine how many students we're going to anticipate. Kindergarten is really the hardest one, the hardest grade, because those students we haven't seen yet, so the factor that we're using is the birth rates. You can see years from 2030 kindergarten on. We don't have the data from that because those children aren't born yet. So in this case, instead of trying to estimate what the decrease might be, I'm literally just pulling that 87.4% down, knowing that that will change. And the important thing about forecasting student population is your data is constantly fluid. Your change that is happening, or what happened in 2020 isn't the same thing that's happening in 2022 with your student data. Births change, and so every year a forecast can show some slight variances. And so in this instance, where we don't know what the children are going, how many students or children are even born, we have to either maintain the trend or pull those across. So it's just a good lesson to know that in those years of the forecast 6 to 10, years 6 to 10, so we're talking 2030, through 2035, it is more based on a trend, because those years are 5 years out. And one of the things that we learned from COVID is things can change, right? I want to point out the resident percent capture, and this is what I was saying, we're talking about capture rate in two different tenses. In this way, the way we're talking about capture rate is kindergartners that you captured to births 5 years previous. So it's a little bit different, same sort of concept. But you can see, and I'm going to show it in this level because I just am more of a visual person. As you look at this, you can see those bright, or I guess darker blue numbers that are ranging from 575 on the far left to 418. That is the count of birth. The smaller bars below are your student data. So those 3 gray columns are the kindergarten cohort historically in those the school year 22-23, 23-24, 24-25. And these are resident students. So we're not talking about any student that is coming in from outside of the district. So these are your resident students. That pink line is the current kindergarten size, and then the blue are those forecasted numbers. So I do want to point out, and that you might be wondering what that weird bar line is, that is the capture rate. And I do want to point out that in the last 2 years, so this year and the previous year, your capture rate has actually increased, meaning you have increased, you've brought in more kindergarten students than you had compared to the first 2 historic years that we have student data for, 22-23 and 23-24, where you were capturing 55 and 54% of the students born, and the last 2 years you were capturing in the 62-64%. So that is a positive. That shows that whatever is happening, students are being more attracted. The district is more doing something that is attracting students more, or something is happening to bring more students in to kindergarten. So that's a real positive. So and because it's 2 years, I'm not thinking that's an anomaly. I'm thinking that that is a new trend. So I can anticipate that happening continuously. So that's the birth data. And I know, are you rumbling that I might be talking? I'm not. I'm done. I'm not going to talk for an hour on birth data, but I do find it fascinating. See, it's fascinating, right?
It is fascinating.
Okay, it is
Marcy.
fascinating.
Yes, it is.
Okay, the next factor is your mobility factor, and this is looking at your cohorts so we have 4 years of student data, and what we're doing is we're saying in the district, let's track the students that go from K to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and see what happens in your resident population, because we have them all plotted, we have all of the students geocoded. So as you can see in that first column, K to 1, the district gains 1 student. So if the district had 100 kindergarten students and the mobility rate is 1.01, we would anticipate in the future for all years of the forecast that they would gain a year, because that's what happened in the average of your 4 historic years that we have, or the 4 years of student data. There is a small drop in going into 2nd grade, but then a real jump in 3rd and 4th grade. Again, attractive to families coming into 3rd and 4th grade. And then there are some slight declines from 5th to 11th. And I will say slight because oftentimes I'm doing this study for districts that I see numbers in the 0.85s, and I don't see that. So there is some steady decrease, but it's not huge, large decreases. So that's something to be said. And then also just pointing out that in the last two columns, starting in 10 to 11, and also 11th to 12th, we often see large drops because of early graduation or students dropping out. For you to have high mobility rates here, that really shows that you are doing something well in your district, where you are keeping students for accreditation or enticing programs that are keeping students at that high level. So that's another really great positive for Kankakee. That's really, really impressive. So we take these numbers, again, apply them to the student data, perpetuate those rates moving forward for the forecast, which is what I'm going to show you now. But the first thing I'm going to show you is how those factors show up in the forecast. So that squiggly line down is just to remind you that the mobility factor is going one grade cohort to the next grade cohort. So it's a survival cohort rate, essentially. And then the impact from birth factors, really, we say that we're calculating the kindergarten classes, but it's not just the kindergarten class, right? It's kindergarten next year, but the year after that is kindergarten first. The year after that is kindergarten first, second, third. And I only say this to help you recognize that as you are thinking in the future, again, as you get farther along, the forecast is more based on a trend or what you anticipate the births to be. So I recommend having forecasts done more, possibly more regularly, especially if you're looking at the 6 to 10 year time frame. We're obviously much more confident in the years of students that we know, especially when we have the birth data. So I also want to just draw your attention. I do put a conditional format on this, and the reason why, as I said this, I'm a visual person. The blues and the pinks, this really is just meant to help you draw the eye to the large numbers versus the small numbers. So you can see on the top right where those numbers get smaller and smaller, that's those smaller birth rates, right, where you were seeing that, I think it was 87.4 being carried across. So those are the numbers, again, coming in. And this is happening all over the country. This is not unique to Kankakee. This is very much what is happening you probably aren't reading our news articles about population decreases like I am.
Every night.
It's fascinating, but the population is decreasing, and there's nothing we can do about it. I mean, collectively, there's nothing we can do about it. But the population is getting smaller, and you see it in your birth factors. The larger blue numbers in the bottom left are showing you those high numbers, and you can see, if you can read them, and I'm sorry, they are so small, but there are historically two 12th grade classes that are over 400, that cohort is over 400, and that didn't happen this year, and we don't anticipate that happening again, because you can see how the cohort is progressing, and there just aren't cohorts that are going to be matching that. In fact, as you see kind of, can I point out, as you see kind of down aisles like this, or on this diagonal, you can see that this dark pink or dark purple is a really small cohort coming in. They are your 9th grade class. They come from the last year's 8th, and you can tell in 2022 it was just a really small, a much smaller cohort than what was before it and what was after it. And so that's just again showing that your high school numbers right now are showing no class above 400 and 2 classes that are below 300. And so next year, as you look at these high school numbers, you don't have any over 400, and you only have projected to only have 1 in the 300, and that's why you're going to see some population decrease, especially it's going to be hitting your upper grades. I mean, and it's hitting your smaller grades with the birth rates, but you do have some slight stability in those because you increase that capture rate.
So good.
So this right here, these numbers are, again, your resident population. I'll show you next your resident population at the totals at the top, and then students, it says not included in the forecast. They're included in the forecast. They're just not, the factors aren't applied. We're just using a rate of change to determine those few 100 students to essentially saying whatever happened last year for those non-resident students is likely going to happen this year at the same rate. And again, I want to just point out those bottom numbers showing those population decrease. There was that 56 student decrease this doesn't have preschool on this number. So 56 student decrease from last year, 37 from the year before, 232 from the year before. And so there are decreases on the horizon. I'm sorry to say that, but there are.
Okay.
And then here visually, for those of us who like visual bar charts, you can see that that is what is happening. And I will say, I know that this isn't probably any words of comfort for you, but when I see these all the time, and this is not a strong decline. I see some that are very strong declines, and that is not what I'm seeing here. So it is I would say a slight downward trend, but also not a lot of opportunity to bring it back up. I told you before that there are 146 study areas, and really what this is just showing is when we create this forecast, we do it at that micro level of the study areas, so we can tell in a study area if that area is projected to increase or decrease. So the greens, especially the dark greens, are areas that are expected to increase in 5 years. So this is a net change in 5 years to 2030. And the dark red and the orange, but specifically the dark red is areas or small study areas that are expected to decrease. Green increase, red decrease. I don't know if I said that backwards, but that is what I meant. So this is by study area. So this is the total number of, so let me set the stage here, what this is. The bar chart in the back, so the large one, that is the combined capacity of the schools that house those grades. Now I know some of your third graders are going to your middle schools, so I'm not talking about those, I'm just talking about your K-3 students in your elementary schools. So your elementary schools, the capacity is all combined, and that's what the larger purple number is. Same with your middle school, your junior high, and your high school. The dark blue number is your current population of the K-3 students. The middle number is the forecasted 2030, and the 2035 in the lighter blue. And this is just, I think, visually helpful to see what your capacity is versus that resident population within those cohorts. So the capacity with your K-3 students is limited. You don't have a lot of space in there. However, you're managing some of that with some of those third grade students going into the middle school for certain classes. There is much more capacity in those middle school schools. So again, resident-based spatial analysis. In summary, just tabular, what we've already gone over is that there are resident students just under 4,000, projecting in 5 years to be about 3772, and then 5 years after that, the projection is to continue to decrease slightly. Again, continued decline in enrollment overall. The main driver is the lower births. Mobility does suggest mostly stable movement patterns, and the population is a modest decline of 4.8% in 5 years. That is my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Oh, you did good.
Very, very concise. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there questions?
I think you really like what you do. I think you really like what you do. So keep doing that. It's great to get paid to do something you really like to do.
Well, I also understand that this is a little bit dry data, it's a little bit boring, so I try to, be engaging.
Part of your analysis has included looking at each of the school buildings?
We did for capacity.
And looking at capacity and then the residential area around, is that true?
No, it was simply just capacity, so taking a look at the classrooms and how you're using those classrooms. Capacity can change, or a functional capacity can change. Sometimes we say that's a choice because you might be using a classroom that could fit 30 students for a special ed purpose that is only housing 5 students. So you would want to take that number out of your capacity calculation. Right. So it was a collaborative effort to understand how you're using your buildings, and then determining the max students or the student load that you like to have in your classrooms.
Great.
In that bar graph, when you did the total capacity by grade levels, where did LCC fall in that number? Was it the elementary school, the middle school?
No, this would be only the high school, only Kankakee High School. So is not including any of the students that, that would be, so the resident, it would only be including the resident populations and then in Kankakee High School. And really this is, and I understand that Kankakee and the junior high only have one schools, but as we prepare for boundaries, we're not doing boundaries on certain schools, right? We're not doing boundaries on those schools. So that is to look that was kind of prepping you to, as we look ahead to boundaries, we do boundaries by resident population because that is the factors that we know, whereas enrollment population could potentially be affected by other factors like transfers in and out. So that's just to anticipate that. So we don't have those in there, just Kankakee, just the ones on, thank you. It's like magically going back. Nope. I'm gonna do it. This one here. So it's just adding up the 1875 from Kankakee High School. And so that leads to just the explanation of, I understand that not all of the students that are in the district or not all of the 9th through 12th grade students in the district are going to Kankakee High School, just like all of the students, when you create boundaries, won't all go to the school that they're assigned to, depending on policy and programming, right? So if you have a program at one specific elementary school that you don't have others, you might draw students in, or you might have a policy of some sort of a transfer policy, maybe an open enrollment, or if their parent is a teacher here, they can go. So it's never the exact number of students that are enrolled, that are living there, go there. So this is, but when we do create the boundaries, we do it residence-based because you still need to have the capacity for the students that live in that area.
Okay.
Hopefully that makes sense. We're kind of getting ahead to but good question.
Yes.
Any other questions?
So, Marcy, will you go to the slide, capture rate analysis?
This one here?
Yes. So this is really interesting, and I know you said our capture rate overall is pretty good with the 84%, I think. But it's a huge opportunity for us. So we have our school leaders in the room and central office leaders, as well as the Board of Education. That means we got about 16% of students or families that we can attract. So as an example, when I look at what's happening at middle school, when we lose them, we lose them, we lose them, we lose them, they come back around 11th grade. So what are we offering at grade 11? And so we talked about like dual credit. We pay for that. But what are some other programs that we can begin to offer that would attract our families back into the district or just to our district? But I thought this was really fascinating data.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I've worked with districts over several years, I've recognized where this has changed, especially in California, they have a transitional kindergarten. And so some of the districts there that I work with have opened up preschool in all of their schools and trying to gather or gain students at the younger level, and that increases their kindergarten capture rate. So I have seen schools, I also work with a district in Utah that really drops off in middle school, and so they've had to start doing outreach because they have, for whatever reason, they're losing students in middle school, and so they've been able to change those numbers a little bit. So you're absolutely right, this is opportunity.
Thank you, Marcy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate the information. Okay, we're to the principal's report. Good work.
All right. Still with me?
We're still there. We're going to follow you.
All right. Good evening, Dr. Lance, school board members, staff, and community stakeholders. I am Kendra Leftridge, and welcome to Taft Primary School. Our motto this school year is Under Construction, Building Excellence. This motto serves as a daily reminder that we are building the foundation and skills that will support the leaders of tomorrow. We aren't just saying what needs to be done, we are doing the work. I would like to introduce members of our Taft family. Will all of our Taft family please stand? I'll begin with the right hand, the reigning assistant principal of the year, Mr. Jonathan Clark. Thank you for being the absolute best partner that a gal can ask for. thank you for all that you do. Our clerical staff are right here in the door. It is quite busy around here with the littles, so they manage all of the chaos that's happening. So thank you so much. And last but of course not least, our TAF family. Can I have kindergarten team raise your hand, please? First grade team. First grade team. Second grade team. Third grade team. We have ESL here tonight. We have our SPED team here tonight. And we have our service provider, Ms. Hudson, back there. Thank you for always going above and beyond for our students. What you do takes dedication, time, and lessons that go far beyond the classroom. On behalf of Mr. Clark and myself, we appreciate you and thank you for all you do. Can we please give it up one more time for the TAF team? All right, we are TAF School. We are home to the kindergarten through third grade science magnet school. We are mainly kindergarten and first grade. We have one second grade class and one third grade class. Our student population here is 315 students. We have 135 kindergartners. We have 129 first graders. We have 28 second graders, 23 third graders, 50 staff overall, and our community partners, we have 4 Gardner Prayer Mentors and 4 grandparents. Our demographics, we have 180 students that are African American. We have 58 students that are Hispanic. We have 46 students that are white. We have 31 that identify as 2 or more races. And then we have American Indian, Asian, and Pacific Islander that do not have data, which means that they have less than 20 students for that category. Our student population here with IEPs, we currently have 18.7% of our students that have an IEP. As you can see, that top yellow bar represents our school, so we are just slightly higher than the district and the state. Some of our goals for this year that are ongoing, we are working on them still to this very day. Our first 2 are the math and proficiency goals, where we are working to achieve a growth rating of 0.2 or higher on both the STAR math and reading benchmark assessments. And our third goal is based on improving student attendance. We are working to reduce the amount of students who are chronically absent, which means to miss more than 18 days of school in a school year, from 46% down to 25%. All right, our current designation status, we are currently designated as comprehensive. Our 5 areas are all based on ELA and math and chronic absenteeism, which directly aligns to our school improvement goals. That circled area is our hardest hit area. If you notice, we got the lowest points in this category, which is that chronic absenteeism. So parents, help us get those littles here to school. Every day they miss school, they absolutely miss out. All right, some data, how are we doing? So last year, we have one class, or we always have one class that takes the IAR test. We have one third grade class here. We had 29 students in that class last year. So on the left, you're going to see the ELA data from 2023. We had a growth from 2023 to 2024. Last year, we had 20% of students who met or exceeded on the IAR test. And you can see that that is a growth of 13%. Now, although we can't compare them because they did change the cut score, a win is absolutely a win.
That's
and
right.
growth is absolutely growth.
Yes.
So our math from 2023, we had no students meet or exceed for 2023. However, in 2024, we had 30% of the students meet or exceed on the math IAR test. So those teachers are working hard 2023 to 2024. Our kindergarten and first grade students take the STAR reading test. They take the early literacy. So what you see here is their fall to winter scores. So that top score is our first grade. They ended with 40% of those students meeting benchmark grade level proficiency. And our kindergarten ended winter with 33%. Overall, for kindergarten and first grade, there was a 12% growth from fall to winter for early literacy. Our second and third grade classes only take STAR reading. So all the way at the top, you see our second grade class, which is knocking it out of the park from fall to winter. 76.9% of those students met grade level proficiency on the test in winter.
Yes.
Shout out to Ms. Wheeler.
Yes.
She's not alone though. She's working side by side, Ms. Nims in third grade. And in the winter, they ended with 43.5% of their students as well meeting grade level. Overall, for just those two classes, they had an increase or growth of 17% from fall to winter.
Nice.
Good job. Yes. Amazing. All students here take the STAR math assessment. And for winter, second grade ended with 73% of their students meeting grade level proficiency. Third grade had 47%. First grade had 3rd grade 47, first grade 37, kindergarten 31. Overall for the building for math, an 11% growth from fall to winter. Oh yeah, you can go ahead and clap. So what are we doing? These goals are ongoing. They are not just one and done. So what are we doing to work as a building to continue to meet our goals? We provide intentional professional development aligned with teacher clarity to improve instructional practices. We monitor instruction and curriculum implementation using classroom walkthroughs. We conduct instructional coaching sessions with teachers as needed. And we discuss, monitor, and refine goals with our school leadership team to maintain accountability. Our third and final goal is to reduce and improve student attendance and to reduce our chronically absent students. So 2024-25, we ended the year with 46.8% of our students being chronically absent for school. Currently this year, as of Friday, our chronically absent student is down to 36%. So we have increased our number of students who are coming to school regularly. Our daily average attendance year to date is right around 91%. Our goal is 95, so we are well on our way to meet that goal.
Nice job. Nice job.
Some of the things that we're doing to improve our attendance is to develop an attendance and home visit team. We meet bi-weekly to track and monitor student data. We advertise attendance goals and data to families via newsletters. And we created school-wide and classroom incentives and celebrations. We have some events that have happened already. We do have a couple of upcoming events. We have our science night that will be right here at the building on April 28th. We have our mother-son dance that will also be here May 7th. And we have our picnic in the park and field day June 3rd. We always need volunteers, so if you are willing to volunteer, please see Mr. Clark. Just a couple of pictures. From our events, our daddy-daughter dance. We had Hispanic Heritage Celebration, Trunk or Treat, Grandparents' Day, which is always a big hit, and Books with Ballers. And we couldn't do a presentation without a cuteness overload. Please enjoy our short video.
Hi, I'm Inspector Barry, and this is my inspection team. Today I'm going to tell you why we are here today. We are here to inspect the progress of task goals, active duty, priorities. Come on in.
people who are starting their next journey. Retirement is always bittersweet as you close one chapter and begin another. Can we please have Beth Gruen come on up? Beth Gruen has been teaching. She's been teaching longer than 30 years. When she's teaching her parents, she's taught the parents of her students that she has now. She's been there a long time. Ms. Gruen, can you please stay there? We also have Kathy Hebert. Kathy also has been here over 30 years. Wow. Yes. Same thing. She's teaching those students of parents that she once had. TAF will not be the same without these two ladies. They are calm but firm, fierce in our building, and we are absolutely going to miss them. Can we get a, Mr. Clark, can we get a picture? Oh, somebody, thank you. Sue Wheeler is also retiring. She is not here this evening. That is our day custodian. But we definitely wish her well as well. We have a small gift for our board members. Excuse me. I saw Dr. Lance and she didn't have any TAF gear. She was wearing her Edison shirt.
Oh.
Yes, how disrespectful. So I took care of that today.
Oh, I had no gear.
Yeah, she has TAF gear now. So all of you have personalized polos.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Thank you. And
Yes.
a hat.
Oh, I love the construction.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Any questions?
Any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Right now, we're enjoying our swag. So.
Right?
Any questions?
I don't have
for Ms.
any questions,
Leftridge?
but I did have a comment. The other day, I witnessed a student come down to the office, two students. One was helping the student, and one was the student that was asking to read to Miss Tamika. And so she did a really good job, and I think that's really, it speaks to what you're doing for reading, because she was wanting to read to someone to let them know that she could read. So I really appreciated to hear that. And I also want to say that these presentations are starting to be like little short plays, and I love it. Yeah. We got this retired teacher checking out already and all of that, so it's really good. So thank you so much for that.
That is awesome.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, next is public comment. I remind those people who have signed up that we ask you to limit your comments to 5 minutes. We also ask you not to make any personal attacks on any individuals. We will take all comments under advisement without discussion, which means we won't respond. But if an issue comes up that requires follow-up, either myself or the superintendent will do so in a timely manner. Please give us your name and direct your comments to the board. And Ms. Rucker, you are first.
Okay, good evening, board members, Dr. Lance, staff members, and community members. My name is Jeanette Rucker. I am one of the school counselors at Kankakee High School. I am not going to share any information with you publicly. However, I do have documented information that I would like the board members to read when time permits, just to secure and not target anyone publicly. So when you all have time, if you could read over this information, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Certainly. If you want to give it to the secretary. Thank you very much, Ms. Rucker. Next is Robert Ellington Snipes.
I guess it's the right size. I'm sure you can hear me. Like I told, Elizabeth Taylor told her ninth husband. No,
Don't do it.
I won't do that today. I want to deal with two issues, however, and One of them is your school counselor. Back about 30 years ago, Kankakee had a slogan, "Turn the lights off, I'm leaving." But somebody in Kankakee decided, this is my place of residence, and turn the lights on, I'm staying. In that counseling room in the 10th grade, the lights has been off. Kids have been disenfranchised. That means they have a right to see their counselor. That's what they were hired for, not to degrade and put them in some known position and just throw them out in the district. That's not what we do here. However, if that's what we do, I want you to be cognitive because you took an oath of office. So therefore, they can write this down, run it past your attorney. But this is a violation of what you basically just done. So you can't say after tonight, I don't know. Under license and statutory violation, under 105 ILC 5/10-22-24A, a school counselor must be a qualified specialist holding a PEL with a school support personnel endorsement. The credentials far exceeds the minimum state, or her, Mrs. Rucker, credentials exceed the minimum state requirement. The retention of an uncertified individual, even one with a master's degree, when a fully qualified PEL certified candidate is available and currently employed by the district, is a direct violation of ISB staffing standards that came straight from ISB. So if you look at, without me going further to do, look up on the data web. We have an obligation when we hire folks to make sure that they complete the year, but we don't turn around and disenfranchise our kids or our students at the expense of egos or whatever else that might be in that particular office. I do believe that we hired a person that well qualified, that was in over 16 years at CPS, and then the only black in the district. Remind yourself, the only other black in the district, that female, she turned around and left because of egos and things, that she couldn't look like she advanced here. Why does that keep happening to black women in the district? And this is the only black counselor in the school district. And she's licensed and qualified. You have one that's not currently. And ISB basically says when you have one, it's a violation of state law to knock one out and leave one that's uncertified. Check it out, just see if Stanks is right. Now let me get off that tangent. And I need to deal with the budget for just a quick second. September 9th, 2025. We turned around and was in the front page of the newspaper, Kankakee High School. And I'm only going to read one statement to be labeled. It said, while the $1.4 million deficit isn't ideal, Neil said he originally anticipated it would be closer to $5 million when prepared for the budget back in May. How do we move from them decreasing the $5 million to $1.4 million, and we back up to $5 million? That's some things that make you go, That's all Stank got to say for tonight.
Thank you. Joanne Lewis.
The next year is that.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Board, Dr. Lance, and President. Really short, I only have 3 issues here, right? I was in an IEP recently with my daughter's team. She's no longer at Kankakee, District 111. She's been transferred to Camelot, High Rose, or whatever, which is absolutely great because they have finally gotten her to positive instead of neutral and fighting and all of that kind of stuff, which is great because they listened to her and asked her what she needed and met her where she was. They was giving her too hard work and she couldn't do it, so she was all over the place. In that IEP, one of the staff, because I can't mention their name personally, right, but of District 111 Special Ed says that Camelot should, or High Rose, should just give Mayana a 30-day notice because she had an issue with a teacher. There was an old can opener, that the teacher didn't know that it was a can opener. Mayana was saying that it was a can opener. The teacher ended up basically freaking out on Mayana because she was saying Mayana was doing too much, she's acting out in front of the people and all this stuff. So I was telling the lady, right, that this was a problem all the time. It's not a Mayana problem, it's a staff problem. You have to know how to deal with the kids and know what's going to set them off, and it seemed this is what they have been doing for a long time. Last year I was here often. This year I was like, you know what, just forget it. But Camelot has started making some progress with Mayana because they brought her work down, okay? So, that's all about that. I don't think the teacher should be allowed to attack the children, right? That's totally out of order. And for a high-ranking official or teacher or whatever it is she is, I know it's the director or whatever, to say that Camelot High Road should just give Mayana a 30-day notice. So because she's having an issue, just want to get rid of the kids, like you told her here when she was at District 111 last year, I find that to be it wasn't acceptable. Mr. Williams, right? He was asking a lady, how will you involve the parents? Well, with the different, their policies or something. My other daughter, Ariana, goes to the high school, right? And they're going to, I guess every Tuesday they go to like Walmart or something, and I was signing a permission slip. But for whatever reason, the lady stopped sending a permission slip because sometimes Ariana act up at home, so I don't sign a permission slip, because why should I, right? So the lady decided not to send the permission slips home anymore, and Ariana is going on these field trips, which I don't have a problem with if I know about it. But for her to tell me, okay, well, yeah, we just not going to send the permission slips no more, and she basically going, I think that's a violation of my rights. Second thing about the children, another one of the ladies told my other daughter, told my other daughter about the different times that her bus is going to change. She got short-term memory loss. She don't know. So she talking about my bus going to be ready at 5:30. My bus going to be ready here at 6:30. She don't know. Let me know I'm the parent. You text me about everything else. How come you can't text me about this? So a text is a lot better than a newsletter, right? I'm just saying.
Thank you. Okay, we're moving into the consent agenda. The consent agenda tonight consists of the approval of the board minutes for the last few meetings, approval of the regular bills, approval of payroll, approval of an overnight trip request, approval of resignations and retirements, approval of appointments, approval of internal appointments, approval of leaves of absence, and approval of discipline. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda first?
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Gathing to approve the consent agenda. Is there first of all, is there any item that anybody wants out of the consent agenda? Okay, hearing none, I'm sorry, I forgot to do that. Is there a second on the motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Second by Ms. Yancey Smith. With understanding, is there a motion to amend item 13 on the, that is that right? Yeah. Item 13 on the consent agenda?
Yes.
Mr. Gathing makes a motion to amend, and your amendment is to modify the termination and amend it to say 3 days. 3 days without pay, correct?
3 days without pay.
Okay. Is there a second to the amendment?
Second.
Second by Ms. Yancey Smith? No, Ms. Verrett, I'm sorry. Any discussion on the amendment? First of all, then we need a motion on the motion, or a vote on the motion to amend. Please call the roll.
Gathing.
Yes.
Verrett.
Yes.
Lopez.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Yancey Smith.
Yes.
Baronis. Yes. Bolin.
Yes. 7 ayes, 0 nays. The consent agenda is amended. Is there any discussion regarding any other item on the consent agenda? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Gathing.
Yes.
Lopez.
Yes.
Verret.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Yancey Smith.
Yes.
Baronis votes yes. Boland.
Yes. 7 ayes, 0 nays. The consent agenda as amended has been approved. Next is the approval of the graduation requirements revision dealing with the world languages. Is there a motion to approve that modification?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Gathing. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Lopez. Any discussion, questions, or debate? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Williams.
Yes.
Yancey Smith.
Yes.
Baronis votes yes. Gathing.
Yes.
Lopez.
Yes.
Verret.
Yes.
Boland.
Yes, 7 ayes, 0 nays, motion carries. Next is approval of the contract as requested by the Instruction Department, approval of the contract with one goal. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Gathing, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Williams. Any discussion, debate, or any questions? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Lopez.
Yes.
Verret.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Yancey Smith.
Yes.
Baronis votes yes. Gathing.
Yes.
Boland.
Yes, 7 ayes, 0 nays, motion carries. Next is approval of the contract with Educational Epiphany.
So
Is there
moved.
a motion by Mr. Gathing to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Williams. Please call is there any discussion, debate, or questions regarding that contract? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Yancey Smith.
Yes.
Baronis votes yes. Gathing.
Yes.
Lopez.
Yes.
Verret.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Boland.
Yes, 7 ayes, 0 nays, motion carries. Next is an approval of the purchase of the student Chromebooks.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Gathing. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Lopez. Any discussion, debate, or questions? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Baronis votes yes. Gathing.
Yes.
Lopez.
Yes.
Verret.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Yancey Smith.
Yes.
Boland.
Yes, 7 ayes, 0 nays, motion carries. Next is item 5, approval of the purchase of the staff laptop computers. Is there a motion to approve? Mr. Gathing makes the motion. Second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Williams. Are there any discussion, debate, or any questions regarding this matter? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Williams.
Yes.
Yancey Smith.
Yes.
Baronis votes yes. Gathing.
Yes.
Lopez.
Yes.
Verret.
Yes.
Boland.
Yes, 7 ayes, 0 nays, motion carries. Next is approval of the enterprise fleet management. I guess that's sort of the master contract.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Gathing to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Williams. Are there any questions, discussion, or debate? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Gathing.
Yes.
Lopez.
Yes.
Verret.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Yancey Smith.
Yes.
Baronis votes yes. Boland.
Yes, 7 ayes, 0 nays, motion carries. Number 7 is the approval of the authorization for reduction in force for non-union educational employees or support personnel. Motion by Mr. Gathing. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Lopez. Are there any discussion, debate, or questions regarding this item? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Yancey Smith.
Yes.
Baronis votes yes. Gathing.
Yes.
Lopez.
Yes.
Verret.
Abstain.
Williams.
Abstain.
I'm sorry.
Abstain.
Boland.
Yes, 5 ayes, 2 abstentions, 0 nays, motion carries. Next is item number 8, approval of the resolution authorizing reduction in force of educational support personnel. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Gathing. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Lopez. Is there any discussion, questions, or debate? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Lopez.
Yes.
Barrett.
Abstain.
Williams.
Abstain.
Yancey Smith.
Yes.
Baronis votes yes. Gathing.
Yes.
Boland.
Yes. 5 ayes, 0 nays, 2 abstentions, motion carries. Next is item number 9, approval of the resolution authorizing the honorable dismissal of teachers. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Gathing, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Lopez. Any discussion, questions, or debate? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Baronis votes yes. Gathing.
Yes.
Lopez.
Yes.
Barrett.
Abstain.
Williams.
Yes.
Yancey Smith.
Yes.
Boland.
Yes. 6 ayes, 0 nays, 1 abstention, motion carries. Finally, we need to have a motion to suspend the rules that would interfere with the passage of the policy changes. I know it says second reading, but we haven't actually done that yet. Is there a motion to suspend the rules?
So moved.
Mr. Gathing makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Lopez. Any discussion, questions, or debate? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Gathing.
Yes.
Lopez.
Yes.
Barrett.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Yancey Smith.
Yes.
Baronis votes yes. Boland.
Yes, 7 ayes, 0 nays, motion carries. Now we need a motion to put this on final passage and pass.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Gathing. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Yancey Smith. Is there any discussion, questions, or debate? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Barrett.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Yancey Smith.
Yes.
Baronis votes yes. Gathing.
Yes.
Lopez.
Yes.
Boland.
Yes, 7 ayes, 0 nays, motion carries. The remainder of the agenda does not require a vote of the board. We do have, I don't know if we have any reports from the committee chairman on curriculum or finance.
No.
Apparently none. Next board meeting is May 11th, correct?
May 11th it is.
Okay, just a quick comment. The RIFs and the termination of employment of anybody is not any moment of anything but sadness and disappointment. The reality is we just saw where we're headed in terms of enrollment. We know where we are in terms of finances, and this board can do nothing else except take action that assures that we're properly handling and taking care of the public trust and the public money. In doing that, we are going to be running a leaner operation. It's going to, we hope, save us substantial money and put us in a budget position that is tolerable going forward, so we're not faced with a state takeover. Having said that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Gathing. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Williams. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion